Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, depending on where you're at. Happy Thanksgiving. Great to see everyone. Let me know in the chat where you're all coming in from, what country, what suburb. Great to see everyone. Let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Hope my camera's coming through all right. Looks like a bit laggy. Switch that back over. Awesome. How's everyone going? Hi, Crypto. Hi, John. Hi, Luna. Hey, David. Let me know where you're coming in from the chat, folks. Great to see everyone. We've got a cracking session today. Green in the markets as well, which is fantastic. Love to see it. Can you guys hear me loud and clear all right? Awesome. Hi, Ronald. Hi, Sean. Hi, Camille. Hey, John. Hey, David. We've got Jackie from Hunter Valley. Christopher from Chicago. We've got Angela from Townsville. Amazing. Got heaps of people tuning in live. Camille from Auckland. Ronald, Northern California. Welcome. Sean, New South Wales. Luna from Canada. Fantastic. We're in an epic session today, folks. We're going to jump right into it. We are going to go through an hour of power, and then we're going to have 30 minutes of Q&A time. So I'm really excited to jump into that and make sure I can answer all of your questions. Today, we are talking about how to build your portfolio and position yourself for the next institutional wave of crypto adoption. The markets are up today. We're setting ourselves up for a massive 2026. And we want to make sure all of you guys are ready to rumble. I want to hear in the chat as well. Maybe give me a little message in the chat. Is this your first masterclass with Collective Shift? Is it your second? Is it your third? Let me know how many of you have been watching some of our content and how long you've been watching. I'd love to see in the chat just so I can tailor the content and make sure we're getting as much as we can. I think my videos are a bit laggy. I think I might just get, I'm not sure why my video is laggy. Fantastic. Let me know a second. Paresh first, Ronald first, Rio first. Brilliant. Okay. Bit of a mix. Fantastic. Well, I know your time's valuable. We want to jump in today and get everything that I can to give you and our team. We're going to bring on in a second to make sure we've got everything we can. The 5 key takeaways from today is going to be the 3 institutional signals that you need to exactly know when to buy and when to sell. Been a lot of volatility in the markets. I'm going to share with you exactly how to take profits, when to buy, when to get in and out. We're going to help you with your exit system, the tranche exit system that protects you from selling too early, and also making sure you don't ride all of your portfolio to zero and getting in the wrong assets. We're also going to talk about how to align your portfolio. So talk about the same trends that are driving BlackRock, Fidelity, the family offices, giving you guys the insights and the research that the retail investors don't get access to. We're going to share a lot of that today. We're also going to talk about the number 1 mistake that sophisticated investors make and how to avoid that. Plus, just give you a real roadmap on how to turn your crypto profits into real freedom and wealth to provide for your family, leave a legacy for your children, and really, offset the craziness that's happening in fiat currency and the dollars we have in our pocket, why that is devaluing every single minute we hold them in our pocket, which is absolutely crazy. We're also going to talk about just where we are in the market right now and how to take advantage, because the markets are up today and I want to make sure that everyone is getting really well positioned for that next leg. I want to just quickly share house rules. You've got comments on the right-hand side. I know there's a lot of people using the chat function. Please keep throwing in the chat throughout today's session. We're going to have 30 minutes of Q&A at the end. So this next hour and a half could really change the trajectory of your success in crypto. I want to make sure I can answer as many questions as possible. So make sure you throw them in there. Take notes. Also stay to the end. I'm going to be sharing the most valuable stuff and share a couple of bonuses for all of you right at the end. And please ask questions throughout. I want to make sure we can get through all the questions as we go throughout. All right. And this, what I'm going to give away as a bonus, if you stay to the end, we're going to have the exit strategy workbook, a PDF workbook that goes through step by step. Our clients pay thousands of dollars to work with us, and we're going to give away that for free for all of you right at the end. So make sure you stick around for them. Just a few testimonials literally from the last few days from some of our clients amongst, what is a very volatile market. That is exactly when we do our best work, because we've been positioning for the up and the down. And some of our clients, just literally the last few days was talking about, this client here is talking about crypto is so overwhelming. There's so much noise, so much to wrap his head around. And he realized he had no clue what he was doing. Finding the Collective Shift platform, super easy to navigate. It's been a 10 out of 10 so far. We had a client just a few days ago sell 85% of his Bitcoin from the exit strategy we set up. And he bought an apartment in Greece, which was his goal from when he joined us about a year ago, which is epic. Also, again, with the bit of a sell-off we had over the last couple of weeks, we were ready for that. And one of our clients just messaged us in our WhatsApp talking about he'd be way down without our advice, and he's very happy with the platinum experience. Also, another client just talking about, thanks so much for me, Simon, and the whole Collective Shift team for their guidance and support. There's no way he would have had the discipline and intestinal fortitude to navigate this phase without the bull market. Now, I want to bring up Travis, our Chief Growth Officer, originally from Florida. Travis, it's Thanksgiving. Do you still celebrate Thanksgiving now living in Australia? Is that
I do not, but I still get all the messages. So, and there's no public holiday here for that. But no.
Half and half. Well, yes. Travis is our Chief Growth Officer. He is one of our head coaches at Collective Shift, and recently did a lot of work at one of the big conferences here recently, talking about the investor psychology and the mindset of how to optimize your portfolio. And Travis has worked with elite sports athletes, executives, coaches. You worked with me for a number of years, and now works with our clients to really make sure you've got your, I guess, mindset and the psychology right for crypto, because it's a wild time in crypto, Trav, trying to invest.
Yeah, it's the in July, everyone was like, don't really need to know about this managing the mindset side. And then the conference we just had, you have standing room only on the talk, and people coming up and saying, oh, I wish I had listened back in July. So we're here now, which means we'll cover off on it, but very much around balancing. Ben and the team are going to give you the strategy side, but not having the clarity of the behavioral side is just going to undermine your strategy. So very much making sure we've got the two parts there to a successful investment portfolio.
100%. Now my camera is not playing nice, so I'm just going to try and reset it here. I might just switch over to my webcam while I reset that. One of the biggest things that we're seeing right now in the market is there's just a huge transformational shift in crypto. Like previously we had, the markets, primarily driven by retail investors. All right. And that's where we saw, like in previous cycles, altcoins really, leading the way. But now what we're seeing is huge amounts of institutional capital coming in from BlackRock, Fidelity, MicroStrategy, family offices, pouring huge amounts of money into Bitcoin because of what's going on with inflation. The money printing is completely out of control. The US is now in $38 trillion worth of debt. Every single year, we are losing 8%, 12% of the purchasing power of the cash we have available. And that is why so many people are turning to crypto, because you're just not getting ahead. Even in Australia, as an example, anywhere we go buy property, you may hold that property for 5-10 years and it's gone up a lot in value, but it may seem like a lot, but then you go and sell that property and buy the next door neighbor's property and theirs has gone up too. All right. This is inflation. This is where all assets continue to rise and grow, and you're never really getting ahead. And that's the big piece that we're going to talk through today about who's positioning right now, how are they positioning, and how you can follow what the big institutions are doing and not follow what the retail continue to get slammed by with these influencers online. I used to work for a crypto YouTube influencer and lost a lot of money. And I saw the inner workings of how content creators in crypto make money. They make money by advertising and getting your eyes to watch their content. All right. They don't care what they put out because they're going to make money regardless. For me and us at Collective Shift, we're an independent research company. We only get paid by the research we put out. And the data that we follow is what the big institutions are playing in. And they have a huge advantage over everyone else. And that's what we're going to share today to make sure you guys have everything you can to win. And right now in November, there has been a huge amount of institutions buying. You see these headlines of crypto crashing and corrections. That is all very normal in crypto. And we've had a big increase in the markets today. What actually goes on behind the scenes is the institutions have been buying this dip. You don't see this. This is not what they want you to see. They see retail panicking, and this is where the bigger whales come in and accumulate underpriced assets. And crypto itself is predicted to head to $11.71 trillion market cap. All right. That would get Bitcoin to somewhere around the realm of 100. Right now it's about 90,000. It will go somewhere along the realms of, by 2030, based on ARC research, $1 million Bitcoin. All right. Which is a huge increase from here. And the historical comparison, if you see back in 2015, 2017, this was early adopters. All right. 2021 was the next bull market, started to grow the institutions. And now this cycle here, Bitcoin at a 600% gain already from this cycle to now. Massive ETFs, family offices. The Bitcoin and crypto ETF was the biggest growth ETF in history, faster than gold. And it's growing at a rapid rate. And the reasons why these institutions are buying now and why you can now take advantage of this is that the infrastructure is there, there's regulatory clarity, and the macro environment, the amount of money that's being printed, it's never been a better time to hedge against everything else you've got allocated in your investments into Bitcoin and crypto. And this is that ARC research piece. Bitcoin could reach $710,000 by 2030 in US dollars based on today's price. And that's Kathy Wood and ARK Invest, one of the leading research companies in crypto. And really the cost of sitting on the sidelines, as I said, like what you are losing, and I know this, by holding and seeing my parents, save cash, you don't see the hidden killer is actually inflation, even shrinkflation. My girlfriend the other day went and bought a bag of chips, and you open up the bag of chips and you ever seen there's like this much chips and this much air. It's called shrinkflation. So they actually increase the price based on the packaging, but the actual quantity of what you get inside decreases. Shrinkflation, and that's it's a wild world we live in, where more and more that you hold cash and you don't get ahead, and you aren't investing in assets to grow your capital and your wealth, that you continually get impacted about 10% per year. Depending on which asset class you're losing in inflation. So, today's session, Travis and I are host. I'm going to bring up a couple of members of our team, but I've been in crypto now for 8 years. I did a TEDx talk on Bitcoin and Ethereum a number of years ago. I've got over 1,000, nearly 1,100 clients we work with around the world that pay for our research, and we do coaching and one-on-one, and I'll share a little bit about that at the end, about how we work with our clients. But, Coinbase is actually a client of ours. We sell research and provide research to some of the biggest players in the space. I've got over 100,000 followers online. And really what we're known from people is that we cut through the noise. We don't do paid promotion. We don't do, affiliate links. We only get paid by the research we provide. We're independent. And now we've got a full-time team of 20 across the world that work with our clients. And, we're very passionate about trying to build and work with sophisticated people. And our vision is to become the morning star of crypto. We want to be the most trusted community of wealth-driven crypto investors in the world. And we're close to that mark already, which is exciting. I'll hand over to Trav to introduce himself.
Yeah, so as Ben said, I've worked with ASX 100 and Fortune 500 companies, just looking at what's the opportunity from a human side, whether it be one of the wealthiest bank in the country or executives trying to sort out how to move forward with their own portfolios. What are the key catalysts to unlocking your growth? Because as much as you might think it's harder or easier for people depending on their wealth, I see it with people with 8-figure portfolios making really feral kind of decisions, and with people who are just getting started making poor decisions, and vice versa. So I think understanding one of the critical bits, and what I most enjoy in this work, is helping you understand where your behaviors undermining your investment strategy, and what do you need to change in order to take back control over that. Because right now in this market, like, fear index is off the charts. Ben and I talk about this all the time. It's the highest it's been in multiple years. And what that means is people are no longer in a rational state of decision making. They're making decisions based on how they feel, not based on where they're trying to go and what the fundamentals of that are long term.
Yeah, spot on, Trav. So we're going to get into all of that today, get you guys set up. I want to bring up DT, or David, who leads up our member growth team. So we've got a full team of analysts and also member growth team. We've got client success to work with our clients. David, even though the market, right now, has been choppy, sophisticated investors have seen how this has been a huge opportunity. And, you've been super busy on the calls recently.
Absolutely. Having a look at, and you've touched on this earlier, the institutional involvement and interest in this space has really caused a massive domino effect. We're seeing retail interest and investment flood in. I'm having conversations every day with traditional investors in the traditional markets, really asking, how do I get into this space, and what are the strategies to really nail this and avoid all the mistakes and pitfalls that most crypto investors do at the beginning of the journey. So I have excellent conversations about what sophisticated investors' goals are, what their challenges are currently coming into the space. What are the roadblocks? Are they having issues getting money from the banks into the markets? Are they having other regulatory issues and pain points? And that's really where our conversations come into play. I'll sit down with you, understand where you're at along your journey and how we can potentially help you, start that journey and the strategy. So both Reese and myself, we're, in charge of onboarding new clients into this group, but also just trying to figure out whether or not, we are a good fit for each other. So there's a bit of that process, and Reese and I have opened up our calendars for the rest of the day to have a chat with you guys. So really keen to, have these conversations with you.
Amazing. And Reese just joined us. You've just been busy. You were on calls just then, Reese, I think, with clients.
Yeah. Sorry for just jumping in. Like I say, just signed a client up then. Super happy. Not sure how much I missed, but it's been great. The past, obviously being at CryptoCon as well over the weekend was epic. A lot of mixed opinions about the market at the minute, but overall, it's looking pretty good at the moment. I think back at 1991. I keep telling everyone, the reality is 30-40% corrections in bull markets aren't actually that bad. Looking forward to obviously speaking to you guys throughout the day. Not sure if DT mentioned it, but we obviously freed up some time in our calendars as well. So it'll be great.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of time. I checked this morning, so after the weekend. But so basically, we'll go through today, folks, and we got a lot of content we want to share with you. And then at the end, for those of you that are interested in how we work with our clients, basically, we work on a sort of an application process because we're quite selective on who we work with. You either get a call with David or Reese, and essentially just a call to understand where you're at, what your goals are, your challenges, and these guys can help see if we can work with you and figure out and solve some of your problems. Otherwise, we'll point you in the right direction. So. Thank you, Reese. Thank you, DT. I'll leave you guys back to the calls and see you all soon.
Cheers, guys.
So, the performance really on us and the goal that we have in crypto is to outperform Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the asset for me that you want to hold, you want to accumulate the most of, but we invest into selective altcoins to accumulate more Bitcoin. And that's been quite hard this cycle. Like this year has been very difficult to outperform Bitcoin. But through getting access to tokens earlier, before the retail, before everyone speaks about online, that's been the key difference. And some of our biggest performers, whether it's Ethereum that was up 6,000%, Syrup up 1,200%, Solana 1,200%, IMF at 900%, Hyperliquid 160%. All of these projects and the best altcoins come in periods of, not super euphoric, crazy retail periods of time. And that's really where we are right now. And, Angela, that's a great question. We'll come back to the Q&A. Like, can you just buy and set and forget? 100%. Like we don't trade here at Collective Shift. We're not about doing short-term trading. In fact, you can make a lot more money by getting access to tokens ahead of everyone else to see that growth. Like you don't make 1,200% growth on big investments in trading without a massive, massive portfolio, and you're making lots of, single little trades. We don't do that at Collective Shift. We work with executives, busy investors that want to position their portfolio accordingly to grow. And that's exactly what we do. And we're going to share that today. So, we know that you guys don't have time to trade. We don't have time to trade. And actually what you see online about trading is very, very difficult. And I know this because I've personally made life-changing amounts of money. In the last 12 months, I've traded 2.3 million on one of my platforms that I trade with. Where I made most of my money was 2021 bull market. I got in early into some metaverse projects based on the research and analysis I'm going to share with you guys today. And, I was taking out hundreds of thousands of dollars, $50,000 chunks. It changed my life. I didn't have money before crypto, and crypto completely changed my life, not through trading, but finding and having an edge, which the analysts and I have found. So we're going to share that today. And that's the same research that we now sell and provide to some of the biggest institutions in the world, like Coinbase, like CoinSpot, like SwiftX. And that's what the institutions really, invest off. Now, our analysts share with us. We have a full-time team of analysts that are 24/7 in the markets, looking at the trends, looking at what to invest in, more importantly, what to avoid. There's 98% of altcoins in crypto are completely, nonsense. They're most likely scams, and people lose hundreds of thousands of dollars. And one of our biggest jobs is to help our clients avoid making those very poor decisions with their portfolio, and also rectifying if you have made a poor decision. So, Matt, our senior analyst, head of research, basically called the Bitcoin bottom of 2022 within a day. This is when Bitcoin was at 16,000. Now it's at 90,000 a couple of years later. He also found Solana at $22. Solana then went on a crazy run to about $240. Syrup was one of my investments that I invested in and also took profits this year. If you look year to date, Bitcoin is kind of performing about even from the start of the year to now. So if you just look at that, you go, well, why would I invest in that? But Syrup and Hyperliquid, a couple of the altcoins that we've invested in, have completely outperformed this year, and that's one of the advantages that we have. And then I took profits on that and was able to rotate it back. Pendle up 2,500%. Another MemeFi project this year I took profits on, up 1,000%. And now we've got a full-time team of 20, and we spend over $300,000 a month on our expert crypto team to help ourselves invest and also our clients, which is it's been a huge growth over the last few months with so much interest in our services. And ideally, our goal, our number one goal whenever we work with our clients is that we want to help them make money, right? We don't make money any other way. And why do we do that? Is because we invest on our own and we have an edge that we utilize. And we felt, well, if we could bring other people on the journey as well and let them invest off the same research that we are, and we both win, well, then we can buy more crypto. And if we don't do a good job, well, then no one wins. And that's the biggest difference with us, is that we're about aligned incentives. And that's completely different to anyone else in the market. And that's why we've now been around for 5.5 years. And, we're one of the biggest research companies in the world. Jamie joined us 5 months ago, very time poor, busy investor, needed professional support. And he's up 150% in 5 months, which is epic. Or Adrian, he turned $10,000 into $100,000. He's been with us for a long time. And just being able to get access to some of the tokens we share has been a huge part for him. Ron, he made 200% from one of our altcoins in the first few months. He was able to pay off 4 years of his membership, which is epic. He also had 30 different altcoins, and we helped him cut it down to 5 to really get that sorted. But also helping people, minimize the downside. And Trav, I might hand this over to you. The saving people from making poor decisions, and FTX was a huge example of where people nearly lost a lot of money.
Yeah. Again, it was that kind of manic behavior of, hey, there's a lot of euphoria in the markets. People are absolutely thinking this is going to the moon or beyond, and sticking to what was otherwise lots of signals of volatility. And, I remember the team calling that, like 3 days before we were doing a business strategy session in the room, and everyone was coming in. And the analysts were like, oh, we got to get onto this. We've got to do something. We've got to post something. And I said, oh, this is great, watching this pan out. And 3 days before, pulled people out of the fire on that one. But again, the signs are there, but you can't see the signs when you're just head down focusing on your portfolio. And I think that's one of the things the team does incredibly well from an analysis perspective, is say, you need to be aware this is a sham, or actually this is a good opportunity and we think it's underdeveloped. People are not really giving it the attention that it needs. But to do that, the team says no to, I don't know what the last stat was, but it was like 99.9 something of all projects they look at, they say no to, because they're rubbish. And there's a few where we might say, hey, this is a good opportunity, but actually it's a bit like speculative. But yeah, I think ultimately having that in your corner, the amount of effort it takes for analysts, full-time jobs, going through this every week, and they're still getting through the majority of it, but not all of it. So if you think you're going to be able to do that on your own, it's really a tremendous amount of effort.
Yeah. So we set you up with the right exchanges and the right security to help you set up those wallets, because you need a system, and you need a way of doing things in crypto that's systematic, and you follow a plan. You wouldn't build a business without a plan. You wouldn't build a house without a plan. And without a system, you panic when the market sells off. You have huge fear of missing out on the way up, and you buy on the way up, and you make poor decisions. You don't have an exit strategy. You're always second guessing, and you're having a huge performance drag because you have no idea what to do. You're overwhelmed with the information. But with a system and a process, you position yourself based on data and signals. You're holding with confidence, have a systematic profit system, and you have a decision framework that maximizes returns and minimizes your stress. And that's really what we do at Collective Shift, is build that system. And it really all comes back to the 3-pillar institutional positioning framework that we're going to share with you guys today. It's really boiled down to 3 parts. One is the positioning, when and how to position your portfolio; wealth protection, so how to hold and rebalance through volatility; and then profit realization, when and how to exit systematically. And with all of this, it really builds that full framework. So I want to get into it. First of all, before we get in, I want to know, maybe if you put in the comments, who is feeling overwhelmed with the knowledge, not the knowledge, overwhelmed in crypto. Is is that something that is difficult for you guys? Is it overwhelming in crypto? Like, just put me a yes if it's yes for overwhelming or no for not, because I find what I'm trying to do today and what we do at Collective Shift is really try and cut through that noise. And the overwhelming piece is something that can just create so much confusion. David, yes. The overwhelming piece, like there's not a knowledge in crypto and information is easy to come by. Like, you can get information everywhere, but it's being able to sort of cut through that and know exactly what the parts are to take advantage of is the hardest part. Yes, Steve. Yes, Jackie. No. Okay, cool. That's great. And also, like, maybe if you could also put in the chat what your biggest challenge is right now in crypto, because I want to make sure I can cover this off in the session. Write down just like in a couple of words or a few words, like what your number one challenge is in crypto. Because some of you are saying that it's not overwhelming. So I'd love to know like what the key part is, because that's exactly what I'm going to try and help solve for you guys today. Angela, to join your platinum membership, should you have $100,000 to invest? We have that for the platinum membership, Angela, but we've got a new program called the Accelerator where you can literally have $1 that I'll share later on. We've just launched a waitlist for that. So no, you don't need the full amount. FOMO, yep. Getting started. FOMO is a big one as well, especially in crypto, like not really knowing like the opportunities, and you see altcoins and end up just chasing them and buying at the wrong time. Like that happens over and over and over again, honestly. Cool. Learning, realized profit, cold wallet. Okay, cool. Yep, makes sense. Yeah, the big one really is, being able to not panic. The emotional side is the most important part, and especially when you're holding altcoins, like knowing what to do. And it's difficult, like, that it's that shame, that guilt, that fear you have when you go back into your wife or your husband at home and share that you've lost all this money because you made a poor decision. It's brutal. All right. So that's exactly what I want to help you guys today, to try and avoid that and have the right risk to reward framework so you don't continue to make those decisions and poor decisions. Because that market condition and the logical side of what's actually happening versus emotionally and the poor decisions that comes off the back of it is super difficult. The primary market's getting access to tokens before everyone else. Like, the reason why so many of you are buying at the wrong time and making poor decisions and having FOMO and having all this stuff is because you're listening to people that are trying to get you hyped up to watch their content, but not actually helping you. All right. And that's the real difference. So that's a big one we saw on the weekend.
Over the weekend, one of the biggest things I said to people was like, tell me your information sources and I'll tell you what you're worried about before you even tell me what you're worried about. And people go, I'm looking at this, and this. And it's like, oh no, of course you're euphoric about the market, even when it's heavily down in your particular asset, because you're just listening to people who are saying that, or vice versa. It's all going well, but actually you're afraid of everything because that's what the person is selling you. And I always say to people, like, if you're not paying for that information, you're being monetized for part of it, right? It's like, if you're not paying for a membership, or if you're not paying for a news outlet to give you that information, like Ground News or Guardian or whatever it might be, you're being sold a message on the back of whatever advertisers are paying that person. And the same applies to YouTubers. Once they've got over 1,000 subscribers, they can monetize their channels. It's not the floor is very low to monetize. You need like 100 watch hours per month and 1,000 subscribers. Once you're past that, okay, they can sell that information on and sell that messaging. So I think you really need to be aware of what's your source of information and how do you know it's got your best interest at heart.
Yeah. And that missed opportunities piece, not missing that positioning of the right altcoins. And what ends up happening when you miss an opportunity, you then get FOMO because then you're now chasing it. And that's not how you grow your wealth. That's not how you build a legacy. It's not how you protect against inflation. You're just like on the yo-yo and the spinny wheel chasing hype. All right. That's exactly right, Gabriella. Yeah, you are the product. When you don't know why something is happening or the incentives, like, you are that person that, essentially is going to be sold to at the end. So, except
Angela's opening a can of worms there.
Yeah, it's a can of worms. I've done a number of videos on that. You can check out as to why that's not going to happen, but that's okay. Let's give you guys ready. You want to hear the 3-pillar positioning framework so you can actually just cut all the noise and get through it? You guys keen on that? I want to jump into this because this is the most important part about actually cutting through the noise and all the overwhelm and the craziness and nonsense that you hear of this hype and XRP going to $1 million.
I think just before we do that, so we can get a sense of who's in the room, Ben, might be good to ask people like how many years they've been in crypto. If you pop in the chat, just like how many years have you been in it? For some people, we've got very much the battle hardened people who are like, I've been in this for 4 years and I've got the scars to show it. And you've got people who are like, I just entered and everything's on fire. Why is it like this? So if you can just pop in the chat that, number of months or years you've been in, just let us know. Just gives us a sense of who's in the room and helps us tailor the message.
Yeah, so just put in a number, like Trav said. We'd love to know 2 months. Gabriella, 2021. Paresh, brand new. Ronald, first year. Mary, months. Fantastic. It's quite a big range, and Thomas, newbie. Whether you're new or you've been around in the space for a little while, like I find that these periods of time where we are right now is a perfect time to rebalance, re-strategize, and get ready for the next leg up. It's when you're being proactive versus reactive that you can make the best sort of decisions. Gabriella, personally in SMSF. Lawrence, OG, you've been around for 7 years. Theodore, newbie, Luna 2017. Cool. So there's a bit of like new and old in crypto, and that's absolutely perfect because today, like in this content, it's going to help both of you, whether you're brand new or been around for a little while. All right. So let's jump in. So the first one is the strategic positioning. And this is really around the institutional signals that we look for to make decisions. The first one is the ETF flow momentum. Where are the inflows coming from the institutions? All right. Are they sustaining inflows? Are they accumulating or are they distributing? Are they reversing? And are the whales selling and rotating out? Right now we're seeing a strong accumulation. A week or so ago, we had a $524 million single day inflow. All right. I hadn't checked this today based on the data we had from the market really ramping up today, but there's a lot of strong accumulation happening right now. The next one is valuation metrics from on-chain analysis. On-chain analysis, we have one of the world's leading analysts, Checkmate, that works with us, that you can literally see on-chain, on the blockchain, what's happening, who's buying and who's selling. And one of the best analysis styles and charts we look at is the MVRV ratio. This is the market value to realized value ratio. It essentially allows us to see who's in profit, who's not in profit, and how much the average buy price of certain assets are at to understand, well, how much profit is the market in? And when the market's in a lot of profit, then there's going to be a lot of sell pressure coming up. Versus if a lot of the average buy prices of the market is higher, well, then if people are buying a lot of Bitcoin at 90,000, well, they're not going to be selling it at 110. And we've seen a huge rotation recently to newer buyers, which allows us to see that right now there's a lot of room to run in that ratio. The third one is the macro environment, Fed policy, interest rates, money supply, M2 money supply, gold. All right. Liquidity right now has been tight, but we're seeing signs that will start to expand. Liquidity, when added into risk on assets like crypto follows liquidity. And when there's liquidity, markets go up. All right. We're also looking at rate cuts. Next month, there is a rate cut decision. If we do see rates being cut, we're going to see the market start to rally again. These are all big parts. Crypto doesn't live in its own little world. It lives underneath the macro. All right. So that goes into the positioning side. How do I buy? When do I buy? How do I allocate? And which assets do I choose? Well, the 4 principles of positioning your portfolio is following the smart money. All right. You've got to follow those ETF inflows I just spoke about. The family offices, who's actually buying? What are they buying? All right. What ETFs are people allocating to? And you've got to position ahead of catalysts. What's coming up that the mainstream don't know about? You need to buy before the mainstream awareness. Then you need to position your portfolio systematically. All right. Percentages are massive. If you over allocate in certain altcoins, that's where you're going to fail. That's where we've seen people go all in on one altcoin. It doesn't play out. And then your entire position is wiped out. Never go all in at once and scale in during accumulation. All right. Right now we're in that accumulation period. You then want to diversify strategically. I always say that you want to anchor a large percent of your portfolio in Bitcoin. All right. Right now, there hasn't been a lot of altcoins that have outperformed, but some of the altcoins we have allocated into have outperformed Bitcoin. I'll share you how to get access to those in a second. All right. And that's where we're allocating, 10%, 20%, 30%, depending on where we're at. We select altcoins based on the market conditions to allocate that final 30%. Allocation is so important. Travis, the number one mistake we see is over trading and people making short-term decisions.
Yeah, it's very similar to gambling as a habit. Funnily enough, you can day trade and no one blinks an eye, but you gamble and then suddenly you've got a problem. And I'm not condoning either of those things, but what people tend to do is they overtrade because they're really trying to offset whatever losses or gains they've got. If they're running on a burner and they've got lots of good gains, then they're pushing for more. And if they're running at a loss, they're trying to recover by trading in and out of it. And we just don't see people doing that. Even from a day trading perspective, statistically, 92% of traders make less than a fast food worker. And that's not a dig at fast food workers. That's just because it's not lucrative with a lot of the habits and behaviors that they engage in. So I think you have to really look at if you're indulging in those behaviors, what are you trying to run away from or run towards that's causing that pattern of behavior? And are you likely to win with that strategy?
Yeah, great call. And the safeguards, Trav, against those emotional decisions is, safeguarding that, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. So I talk about decision governance, the idea of setting up blockers or rules for yourself that really stop you from engaging in certain behaviors. So those predefined entry points is really important. Not going, oh, I'll leave it alone for now, and then suddenly it's doing really well. I've got a mate who messages me every couple of weeks and goes, "Oh, should I get in on this thing you mentioned months ago?" I'm like, "Mate, that thing's already taken off and done really well." And then he goes, "Well, now?" And I was like, "Well, the best time to buy was then. The research, the belief from the team is still going up." And he goes, "Oh, maybe I'll wait a bit longer." Well, so he doesn't really have an entry point that he's determined, and so he's just waiting for it to go down enough so he can get in and then to go back up. And I said, "Mate, the market isn't gonna go, hey, this man wants to buy in, so let us drop the price and then we'll go back up." But it's this lack of real understanding of, hey, mate, you need to figure out when you're coming in and when you're going out. And then position size limits, the position sizing is up to you, but don't bet the farm on altcoins. Like that era, I think you and I can agree on this, Ben, that era has kind of come and gone. You might get some good returns, but you'd be very much an outlier. Now, you balance your portfolio out with some of those things, so you see some great returns, but don't be punting your life savings into an altcoin and hoping for the best. It's just not going to end well. At best, you're likely to walk away with a fraction of what you started with. In many cases, I've seen people wipe out their whole portfolio on just speculative altcoins. And then have a review process as that's playing out. How are you checking on your progress? If things are trending down, as what our head of research or head of education often says, Simon, and you gotta love his directness, as he says, if you look at that asset and you wouldn't buy it for the price it's at today, that's telling you something. That's telling you it's not where it needs to be for it to perform. And you can't just continue to hope that it fixes itself. It just doesn't work that way. The market doesn't care about what your goals are.
Yeah. Spot on. So the way we do this is your 7-step strategy process. So we've actually worked on a 7-step process that builds your own crypto strategy from start to end. And I personally use this and have done for the last 8 years. It's how I made, my life-changing money back in 2021. It's how I allocate now. And all of our clients go through this process. And ultimately, my goal of my strategy is to build Bitcoin for capital growth. Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the last decade. The digital scarcity piece is literally the reason why it has been built for the endless amounts of money printing that's going on in the world. All right. It is built for this massive high debt money printing environment. When we get liquidity, that is why Bitcoin grows. And I utilize my Bitcoin to then accumulate other assets. I can lend against my Bitcoin to buy property. I can do things to, pay down certain, assets with the growth of Bitcoin. And I use altcoins to grow faster, select altcoins to sell down and then buy more Bitcoin. All right. And I position my portfolio based on how I can accumulate crypto faster. All right. And that buy strategy is, for me, accumulating Bitcoin, but using smaller, shorter term altcoin plays to accumulate faster. All right. Bill is one of my clients. He's a very busy dad. He's a property investor. From the WhatsApp group that we have, he made $120,000 in a day from buying Trump when it came out at $9, sold at 63, paid off his collective shift fee for a few years from that short-term buy strategy. Now, not everyone is going to be able to make this sort of money, and not everyone's got this risk appetite, but he had that buy strategy ready as part of that 7-step process so he could execute, and then had the exit strategy to be able to take it off the table as well. All right. Now, this all comes back to the primary market advantage. And I know there was a comment before in the chat around how to get access to the primary markets. If you are new to crypto, this word primary markets is essentially the word of representing getting access to tokens before everyone else does? How do you get access to decentralized exchanges? How do you get access to tokens on the blockchain directly before they get listed on Coinbase, on CoinSpot, etc.? Because if you're waiting to get access to these tokens when they are listed on major exchanges, 9 times out of 10, you're too late. All right. Where I've made a lot of my money this year, as an example, two projects, Syrup and Hyperliquid, both invested in those 2 projects before they were listed on any exchanges. So if you're a retail investor, you are waiting for listings on major exchanges, you're paying premium prices, you're missing early growth, and you've got far higher risk because there's lower upside. And the problem is everything you're getting in terms of information is the same as everyone else. You have no edge. You're late to the party. Our clients, they get access to primary markets where we show them step by step how to get access to these tokens. And not only that, the research team does the due diligence beforehand. So you're not just betting on all these tokens, because there is millions of tokens. All right. If you get the wrong one, a lot of these will go to zero. But you get the right ones, you get the institutional pricing, the early opportunities, and you have the maximum upside. Now, here's an example. So over the last 12 months, yeah, Gabriella, that's like buying on DEXs, right? Decentralized exchanges. So as an example, 2 tokens this year, if you look at this chart here, during extreme fear, during a very difficult part of the market where Bitcoin was actually down, 2 tokens that we invested in and have in the portfolio, Syrup and Hyperliquid. During that period, all right, since year to date, Hyperliquid up 65% year to date and Syrup up 75%. During the last 30 days, Bitcoin was down 2%, all right, and Hyperliquid and Syrup were both up as well. So they're outperforming Bitcoin whilst the majority of the market is down. 98% of tokens are down. And why this changes everything is because, again, when you're holding these tokens that everyone else holds and you're late to the party, you are panic selling, you have no downside protection, you're holding weak altcoins versus being in higher, great assets that have strong fundamentals that our research team get access to. You're driving your positioning of your portfolio based on data and not emotion, and you have the confidence to hold them. Bitcoin and crypto is very volatile. If you don't have confidence in what you're holding, you're going to get wiped out. All right. And that is the primary market access that our clients get access to. And it's what we do, is getting early access with better pricing after the due diligence and the ongoing support. Now, once you've got that positioning right, now you need to figure out how to protect it and hold it through the volatility. All right. And this is where we are right now. Inflation hedge positioning, rebalancing, risk management, and tax optimization are the core 4 parts of this. Historically, if you're not holding any assets or you're not holding Bitcoin, you are just getting eroded away with the cash that you have. Even if you're holding assets, they're all valued in fiat currency. The property that you hold, the stocks that you hold are all valued in US dollars or Australian dollars or Canadian dollars. You want to be looking at what your asset prices are in correlation to gold. All right. Because at the end of the day, you're just accumulating more of the thing, the US dollars, that's getting less and less valuable. You're just accumulating more of something that is going down. You want to look at what do your assets perform against with gold. And that is that inflation hedge. Otherwise, you're never getting ahead. And no one tells you this, by the way. No one will come and save you from this. You need to save yourself. You are just getting screwed. And the faster that you figure it out, the faster you can start to change the course of, your assets and your wealth accumulation. Then you want to rebalance. All right. 2 weeks ago, I rebalanced my portfolio before we had this big dip because we saw it coming. We saw the data. We maintained the discipline. We rebalanced and we protected the portfolio. Risk management is so important. All right. You can speculate as long as you want, but unless you have risk management, you're going to be absolutely, wiped out in down times. The last one is tax optimization. How can you hold and position your portfolio to optimize for tax? That's where we work with, certified tax specialists to help you work on that strategy. We have tax software that can optimize it for you, can see it. So you're not losing out and paying more money to the tax man than you should. Now, inside our platform, and I might just share my screen so you guys can see this, we have a full research platform that we've built over the last 5 years where you get access to all of our research and tokens that our analysts provide. But one of the most important parts of risk to reward is looking at our research on the altcoins that we like. And we have risk to reward and ratings that are updated live on our algorithm to showcase to you what tokens we like and why we're buying them. Hyperliquid is an example, all right? We shared this, and you can see all of our analysis, our bullish, our bearish, and the reasons we like these things versus not is because of the fundamentals, all right? And Hyperliquid was one of the tokens that we shared. You can see all of the research we've ever put here on Hyperliquid was one of the best performers that we've had this year in amongst a really, really tough market. You can see here, major portfolio update. I started to buy Hyperliquid here 10 months ago, 9 months ago, 8 months ago. And if you see where that is on the chart, all right, Hyperliquid was around $20, all right, $18, $20. Went on a great run. In a few months, it did about a 4X, all right? And now we've repositioned. We sold some before the dump, and now we're looking to reposition soon. So that is the research you get, and that's the repositioning that happens when you have that data, all right, to take access. So I just realized this is where the research was on our platform. You can see here on the shift list, all right, Hyperliquid. We bought and accumulated here, all right, back in the, about $22, ran to $60 and pulled back. And you can see all that research that comes out based on the token research and all the ratings that get updated live. All right, so that's over on the platform that we'll share later. Now, risk tolerance is really big. Trav, I might hand over to you. Risk, and this only gets spoken about when there's corrections that are very normal in crypto.
Yeah, 100%. People don't really think about risk until you've breached a risk or a risk parameter that you didn't know you'd set for yourself. So it's a bit like the portfolios. We've got people, we've been really clear on what's happening and what the macro forces are. And we've got a number of members, particularly in our platinums, who were like, yep, cool. I know where I'm at, what I'm tolerating. Market dipped. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, it's within my risk parameters. And then you've got some others who went, yeah, it's probably okay. I'm not really too concerned about it. Weren't aware of what the risks were. And they go, no, now I've got a problem. So you're understanding what you're comfortable with, how much you're comfortable with from a downside as much as an upside. People love to pop in messages and socials and everything else and say to us, oh, mate, I reckon this is 25x, 50x, crazy shit. Numbers that you go, where are you even coming up with this? And they have no issue with that. And they won't be looking to take profits. But on the other side, if it dips 10%, they go, oh my God, the world's on fire. Please help me. Like, I didn't know I couldn't afford to lose this money. And so I think if you haven't defined what your tolerances are, you will get hit upside the head with it. And you go, ouch, like I probably should have thought about this in advance. So one of the things I say to people is like, we need to understand your maximum tolerance up and down. And they go, max is never, there's never a limit. It's a no, there's a certain point where it starts to stress you out. Hey, if it keeps going, when do I take money? When am I, like, you have to factor those into your decision-making beforehand.
Yeah, spot on. And that's exactly what we work with on the structuring part, is structuring your portfolio and the tax to make it the most efficient. Now, the third pillar, you guys, by the way, just let me know in the chat, is this good? Let me know a yes in the chat so far. Is this, starting to, shape where you guys are thinking? I'm going to share, Gabriella, a little bit more about the DEXs. Let me know in the chat. This is good. You're learning. Things are good. We're going to get to some Q&A as well at the end. So make sure you keep those questions coming in. I want to talk a little bit about this next part, is like protecting the wealth. And the most important pillar is then, like, once you grow your portfolio and you build that profit, like, how do you protect it? When do you sell? How much do you sell? How do you avoid selling too early? All right. That's really important, because you can make some really poor decisions. I just spoke to a client, recently that just, panicked and sold a lot of his portfolio at the worst time. And we've had that sort of rebound. All right. Same on the way up. I had clients that didn't sell at the top, and that's where they're coming to us. They go, I don't know what I'm doing. And the reason is because you're not getting data and you're not getting insights from like sources that have an edge. You're just listening to what everyone else gets access to. And markets, there is winners and losers. All right. And 90% of people in markets, especially crypto, lose. This is not a simulation. You can't just come and buy stuff and just hope it all goes up. Right? There's someone on the other side of the screen of whatever you're doing, someone else is buying or selling. All right. So that is really important. And that's why we're going to help you sort of, nail this profit realization as well. And yes, we're going to answer the questions, Theodore, Gabriella. We'll get to that very, very soon. Now, Trav, I'll hand this back to you, because there's really two fears that paralyze investors when it comes to selling.
Yeah, 100%. The selling too early is often, oh, I left money on the table. I'm concerned about the fact that I left money on the table. And why did I do this? I'm such an idiot. Now, this is problematic in a number of ways. We had an investor I was coaching who was up 5x, which is in this market, very much unheard of, for their whole portfolio to be up 5x. And then said, oh, look, I don't want to get out now. I think there's more room to go. And I said, well, is it 6x or 8x or what is it? And she said, well, I don't know. It's just not now. I said, like, you really need to be aware you're setting yourself up for failure. Well, what happened? 5x became 4.3x, became 3.7x, and is still trending down. And so I had another call with her and I said, where are you at? What are you actually doing with that? Which plays into fear number 2, riding it to zero. And she's like, but it was at 5x, Travis. And I said, yeah, but it's not there today. You're still up 3.7. Like, what a good position. That's life-changing money. She had 6 figures and turned it into 7. I was like, that's life-changing money. And it's like, you're about to ride it back down from 7 figures to 6 figures. Are you okay with that? And she's like, I just can't. I can't get rid of it now because I know what 5x looks like. So we spent a lot of time trying to correct for that. Ultimately, she has to make the decision. But the issue there was she was not prepared to understand at what point am I going to take money. And we talk about laddering in and out. How much do you take in tranches rather than all at once? She didn't take anything off the table, and now she's essentially lost over $250,000 in what she had gained, and none of it's real until you take money off the table. You and I can say we have whatever we want in our portfolio from day to day, but until you capitalize on part of that and solidify that change, it's all just nothing. It hasn't eventuated. And so for her, unfortunately, that was a pretty big example of the 2 fears playing out both ways and her not acting in either of those scenarios.
Yeah, spot on. And this is the reality, folks. So when the market gets the top, and where we want to be able to take profits, and this is going to be in the next 12 months that we're going to look to take profits based on our predictions of the market. That top blue line there, that top 5% of the market is literally there for days for Bitcoin. All right. The top 10% is about a week, and the top 15% is about, I think it was about 30 days for Bitcoin. Now, on the altcoins, the further you go down on the altcoins, the shorter the period is at the top to actually take profits. And if you miss that point, then the pain starts because you're now going to look for the downturn and not being able to take advantage of the cycles. So the 3 exit signals that we look for and the objective triggers, one is, again, that ETF outflows I spoke about, the flow reversal, looking at, slowing flows, looking at where the smart money is actually positioning, and when the retail start to buy at the top and when the whales and the institutions are selling. A great indicator, folks, at a very basic level, if you just look at what retail investors do, they are the worst investors. All right. They will always buy at the worst time and they'll sell at the worst time. All right. So if you're going to be a counter metric to what everyone's feeling and everyone's doing, more often than not, you're going to be okay. Now, the second one is the valuation extremes. All right. Being able to look at the indicators and look at when the overvalue piece of on-chain analysis is screaming out that we're exceeding MVRV ratio. We're seeing historical tops form. We're seeing very euphoric territory, and no longer are we seeing that risk to reward. All right. And the third one is the macro headwinds. That's when the Fed pivots. We start to see liquidity contract. We're starting to see risk-off sentiment dominating. All right. And this is when the macro really starts to become fearful versus, tailwinds. They become headwinds, not tailwinds. All right. And that's really important. Now, the tax-efficient strategy is going to be different for different people depending on which location you're in. Angela, tranche is just like taking a percentage, like taking a chunk out of your portfolio. Now, the first one, if you're in, areas where you can hold more than 12 months and you can get a 50% capital gains discount, really important. So holding for longer periods of time. If you overtrade and you're not getting that tax efficient, you can lose out on tax, spreads, fees, and just honestly losing out on a lot of money that you could have kept. The second one is like holding across tax years, so splitting across, and also looking at different tax loss harvesting where maybe you're down on a few positions. If you've been in crypto for a little while, you can actually sell those positions and offset future capital gains. Now, we're not tax professionals, but we work with tax professionals that we have as partners that our clients get access to really make sure that your tax structure is really efficient. Now, Trav, the psychology problem in crypto, this is where most investors get wrong, because I see it. Especially a lot of you that are new to crypto, you don't know how painful this is until you get into crypto. It's not as easy as what everyone online tells you.
Yeah. Right now we're in that kind of peak fear trough, I would say, at the moment, where people are really stressing themselves out and the world's on fire, and the number of messages you get where you're like, hey, is crypto really a good space to be in? And then on the back of that, I have chats outside of crypto with non-crypto people, and they go, is it really a good time to be in stocks? And then people go, is it a good time to be in property? And you've got kind of, regardless of where it is, fear is all over the place. So that fear really drives either panic selling or just poor decision making for long term. Second is greed. I see things like, oh, am I going to get 50x or 25x or whatever it is? And it's like, well, what's the actual goal here? And based on what you're seeing in the market, why do you think that's the opportunity? Do you really believe that that's the opportunity? Or is that just going, hey, I want as much as possible, but I'm not prepared to wear any risk around this? Because people will say, I'm happy for infinite upside, but I want zero downside. I go, come on, that's crazy. That's just not a thing. And then FOMO is very much like, hey, in this market, because people are seeing most things are down, share market's down, the crypto side is down, a lot of minerals and different otherwise alternative means are down, interest rates are crappy. You're looking at all that and people are going, well, what can I do? Like, what can I be in on so I'm not missing all the action? So they buy really speculative stuff just to try and find something that someone has said is a good opportunity. So they're chasing a pump in that particular area. They've got that FOMO coming in. But that emotional decision making is really what destroys good decision making. It's not how you make money. You don't do it that way. You need to understand long term, here are my goals, here are the options that fit my risk tolerances, and here's what I'm going to do about it.
Yeah, bang on. And these kind of leads into the 8 common investor mistakes, and maybe I recommend screenshotting these or write it down. The biggest mistakes we see people make when they get into crypto is they're buying at tops due to FOMO, so they don't know what they're doing and they're not getting the right data. They then panic sell during corrections because they don't know what they're in and not what they're holding. And they're not ready for corrections. And by the way, corrections are very normal in crypto. Overtrading, no clear exit strategy, following the influencer hype shenanigans that happens online, ignoring tax implications and not getting ready for tax, being all in on like single assets with poor portfolio allocation, and then just emotional decision making. This is all stuff that you will come to learn. You will make the mistake of if you're new to crypto. It happens. You will do this. All right. And our job is to try and make sure you avoid all of this and avoid losing tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, because we see it every day. People go and try and do it on their own. And then they come to us and go, Ben, I should have signed up. I've just lost $100,000 being scammed, or I've just made this poor trade. You said to do it. I didn't do that. And now what should I do? Well, you should have listened to me at the start. It's why when I go and buy property, or I want to go, get advice from someone, I have a coach. I pay for the experts in their field. I'm not an expert at stocks or property, but I'll go and hire an expert to come and teach me about what I need to do, and I'll be able to cut through the noise and get the answer. Right? And that's exactly where we're at. So I want to get into some Q&A. I know there's a lot of questions coming through. So if you've got questions, please fire them in the chat. What I want to say is, like, there's 2 real approaches to crypto. All right. The one is where you probably are right now, is honestly trying to do it alone. The FOMO, there's no accountability. There's all emotional decisions, and you're drowning in that conflicting information. And it's super high stress unless you know what to do. All right. And you're investing a lot of money. The other side is like building that systematic framework where you can follow that 7-step procedure, have one-on-ones, weekly accountability, and trying to really make decisions in your portfolio with confidence. Like having a buyer's agent for your property, all right, or a financial advisor for your stocks. When you're dealing with a lot of money, if you're doing it emotionally in crypto, listening to influencers, where you set up from not for success from the start. And Trav, this is like, we were talking about this, on the weekend, the information overload. People don't have an information problem. They have a decision problem. They have analysis paralysis.
Yeah, they're just being bombarded by stuff, not to mention all the non-proactive stuff, all the stuff that comes to you directly without you choosing to, but the stuff you choose to engage with and then add to your feed can be overwhelming, or it can be very much an echo chamber. You've got hundreds of sources telling you the wrong information because it thinks that's what you want to hear, and then you play into that. And that overload causes poor decision-making. Rather than going, hold on, what are my 2 or 3 trusted sources of information? How do I actually get clear on who knows what the hell they're talking about? And then how do I make good decisions based on that? And people are consuming crazy amounts of hours of content, and then not realizing, actually, of course, I'm going a bit nuts, or I'm struggling with stress at the moment because I'm overwhelming myself with information.
Yeah, bang on. So the noise is the thing you need to avoid. Avoid the Twitter hype. Avoid the influencer content. They're not there to help you. They're there to get your eyeballs. They want to make you get the FOMO. They want to make you stressed. All right. Avoid the price prediction, news headlines, the short-term price movements, and follow the signal. All right. ETF flow data, institutional activity, on-chain data, valuation metrics. All right. Fed policy, M2 money supply liquidity, institutional data. All right. That's what you need to follow. That's what's going to give you that edge. All right. And really, the window, I believe, of crypto, especially if you're new, or, even where you are now, if you've been in the market for a little while, you would know that the next 12 months are going to be huge for crypto. We believe, based on where the cycle is and macro liquidity, that next 12 to 18 months is going to be the cycle peak. All right. It's a historical buying opportunity when you get these corrections, that the opportunity to really take advantage is ginormous. All right. And it's more of a decision of, are you going to wait again for the market to rally, and now you get excited and now you want to buy once you miss the opportunity? Or, like I know all of you are, by being here today, far more sophisticated than that. And the opportunity is when the interest is low, all right, or when we have a correction. And when you see what the institutions are doing, there's no other there's no other thing that I get excited about more than these guys buying, because I know Bitcoin's going in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. I got very high conviction on that. So where we're at right now, if you are learning today and you're like, this is great, Ben, what do you guys do? There's a couple of options, all right? I want to get to Q&A in a second. There's a couple of options. One is, if you have more than $100,000 in crypto, we have what's called our Platinum Institutional Program, all right? And I'm going to share that in a second. If you don't have $100,000 in crypto, or you're not looking to invest more than $100,000, we have a brand new accelerator program I'm going to share in a second that's got a wait list, because we've just launched it. It's been really, really exciting. So I'll share that in a second. But if you have now more than $100,000 in crypto, or you're looking to get into crypto and you're looking to deploy more than $100,000, and you're after a systematic wealth building approach, you're tired of guessing, you're tired with the overwhelm, the FOMO, and you really want to have that value-based expert guidance and accountability, then Platinum is for you, all right? It is not for you if you're looking for get-rich-quick schemes, gambling, you're trying to day trade, you're trying to get results within a day. That is absolutely not for you. If that is for you, please don't book a call. We don't have time to waste. And I'd probably just recommend leaving the call now if that's any of you. All right. The reason we limit the amount of people we work with, we have 330, maybe 350 of our sophisticated clients in our Platinum program, is because we value quality over quantity. We do not have the ability to scale this Platinum program to do one-on-ones with thousands and thousands of people. It cannot. All right. We have small cohorts that have personalized support. We have intimate community events. And we want to make sure that we are having involvement, and I have personal involvement with every single client, to give you all the best opportunity for success. And we can't do that without, keeping the community small. And we support you on every journey, whether it be one-on-one client calls with your, looking at education on your portfolio. We look at calls from me. We have client success team. We have analysts. We then support you 24/7 with our support on WhatsApp. We have an inner circle WhatsApp community. We have a full team that's dedicated in helping you guys win. And then we have the community. And we just came back from one of our events. We have 2 Platinum events every year, both in Australia and in the US. We had 130, 140 clients that came in person. Full day of strategy, learning, networking, and then we had a party of a night time. It was amazing to network and be a part of a group of sophisticated investors. So what you actually get, and by the way, this is by application only. So if you're interested in this, I'll drop a link in the chat. You'll speak to either David or Reese, who I spoke at, who we brought on the start. You have private one-on-one educational sessions, all right, where we look at your portfolio, we have Q&A and really get into the weeds of what you need. You have a strategy session with me. So I've got like one today that I'm bringing on new clients, and we go through the strategy of my portfolio, how to get allocated to the market. You have your own one-on-one sessions with your client success manager, who does check-ins with you to make sure and keep you accountable to ensure that you're doing the things that you need all year round. You get that full access to the research platform I shared before. We have a WhatsApp inner circle where, literally one of the best things about our program is we have some of the best analysts in the world, where we literally go through, and you can see here, I'm not sure if you can see this. This is the WhatsApp. So people ask questions, and that's me literally replying. with the analysts on the questions that come in. All right. So whenever you need support, we have the general Q&A, and then we have the announcements, where in the announcements, we literally post what we're buying and what we're selling in the WhatsApp. All right. Which is really cool. Oh, not sure what happened there. And then we do 2 events every year. All right. 2 in Sydney and 2 in Miami. We've got the portfolio alerts. We then do weekly group calls and monthly group calls with our analysts and the entire community as well. All right. And a couple of things on how this has helped. One, busy executives like Chris, he implemented the exit strategy and the 7-step process, paid off his house with profits. All right. Now he's living debt-free and he's still having a great crypto portfolio for the remainder of this cycle. Brady made $7,000 to $8,000. He was new, paid off his membership from a single airdrop. All right, epic. Jaden, he's been with us for 3 bull runs and made life-changing amounts of money. All right. And what I wanted to do was also share some of these case studies. Joe's another one. He was down a lot before joining us. He had sizable losses. He had a one-on-one session. We reshaped his portfolio with the analysis and data, and now he's up and in profits in just 4 months after being down a lot. So even if you're down in your portfolio, that is the opportunity. Every minute you're waiting is opportunity cost. Bill, who I spoke about before, made that $120,000 profit from just a message in the WhatsApp. All right. Paid off his membership for years. Now, the thing I wanted to share is like some people, are relatively unsure about, the clients that we work with and whether or not this is for you. I want to show you, this is literally our Trustpilot, which you can see. This is live, right? You can see here, this is on the website. You can go Google this on the Trustpilot. 14 hours ago, literally just yesterday. Trustworthy research. I've been a platinum member for 4 months and I highly rated the content. The in-person strategy were filled with values. 2 days ago, all right, from the moment we joined, the team has been by our side with support and knowledge. 3 days ago, a supportive crypto community that truly has your back. 4 days ago, help simplify my portfolio. 5 days ago, like-minded people. Like there's so many of these, like Trustpilot, case studies, whatever, that you guys can go check out online based on the results, all right? So if you are interested, the Platinum program that I just shared, we have some spots available, so you can book in a call. I'll let the guys put the link in the chat. So you need to go over here. The Platinum program is $15,000 per year. Now that is a yearly program that you can, do to your company, your trust. You do it personally. For most people, it's a tax write-off, which is great. And what that allows you to do is get access to everything I just mentioned. All right, but you need to book in a call and apply through this page. The reason you have to apply is because we're selective on who we work with. Genuinely, if we don't think you're a good fit, you're not coming in. For us, it's not worth the money to deal with people that we really don't want to help, or they're not going to be, ready to be coached and supported. So you're going to go over that link. All right, we've got all the details here. You click this button to book in a call, and this is a video call. So please make sure you fill out the details and make sure it is accurate based on where you're at. Let us know your goals, your challenges. Fill this out appropriately because we genuinely have very limited time. All right. We have limited time on the team's calendar because of the amount of calls that we get. All right. And we don't want to waste anyone's time by, if you're not going to be a good fit, it's just not worth anything. All right. And you can see here, like literally last week, the team's calendars was crazy. All right. Chockers. All right. This is what the Platinum program is. And it's why we do the applications, is because of the support that you get. Now, for those people who are interested, we also have an accelerator program. So this is brand new, and we have 2 days remaining on a Black Friday launch promotion. So if you don't have $100,000, we have a wait list. By last count, I think we were at 220 people on the wait list. We only take 25 people per cohort. So what this is, it's a 4-week live coaching program. So the live coaching program happens once a week for 4 weeks, where you get the market positioning, portfolio allocation, the investor operating system, sales strategy, and then the graduation. All right. And at the end of that, you can decide if you want to join Platinum or stay on the low tier. You don't get any one-on-one support. You don't get any of that, but it's a good way to get started and dip your toe in if you're interested. So if you are interested in that, you can either join the wait list by filling out your details. I will say there's a long wait list to do this, because again, we're only taking 25 people per cohort. But you can also just book in a call over on the Platinum page, and the guys will speak to you and see what's going to be best for you. All right. Now, coming back to this bit here, a lot of the people on, the Platinum program will say, what is the ROI? Well, if you have a $100,000 portfolio and we help you grow your portfolio by 50%, then you're going to make $50,000. On the flip side, if you try and do it alone and you make a poor decision, I've seen people make hundreds of thousands of dollars mistake just off one trade or one click getting scammed. It's an insurance policy to help you on the downside and the upside. All right. The other thing is, some people would call it expensive. I would call it an investment to grow alongside experts and analysts. In what other platform or service can you get access and one-on-one support from people that have made money in investing full time at that amount of money? You can't. And the reason it's that point is because we can't work with everyone. That price has actually gone up significantly over the last, probably 2 years because of the amount of demand. All right. And we price it accordingly so we can make sure every client has the best experience. And what happens when you first sign on and if you get approved is you get an onboarding call with your client success manager. We book you in with your one-on-one sessions. All right. You then have a member strategy roundtable with me where I go through and help you personally with your portfolio. You get all my, portfolio, my buys and sells, my exact strategy. And then you have the full weekly access to all of our weekly calls and monthly calls. That happens over here in the Platinum Hub. So you get your own login. All right. And that's where we have all the calls. We have the weekly calls. We have the in-person events. All right. We also have office hours every single week with our analysts. We have bonus sessions, and you get access to our full recordings and all of our bonus sessions that we've ever done. All right. We did one recently on how to earn income on your crypto. So if you're looking to earn income and percentages on your income, on your crypto, we do bonus sessions on that as well. All right. So much there. If you are, as I said, not sure, the accelerator is a great way to just get a bit of an exposure to how we operate. And then you can make a decision after that. All right. Awesome. Already calls coming in. Hi, Gabriella. So yeah, Gabriella, the cost of the first year. To go back to the accelerator. Accelerator is at the moment, you can see down the bottom here, this is, $2,000 US for the next 48 hours before it goes back to the full price of $5,000 USD. If you end up joining the Platinum, you get access to the accelerator for free. It's actually, included in your membership. You can just reach out. We can get you access to that as well. But again, this got a long wait list because we can only take 25 at a time. So we obviously prioritize the Platinum and those that are interested. Now, keep your questions coming through, folks. I want to get into answer some questions. The Platinum, yes, is at 15,000 USD. Yes, it's per year. And then you can cancel. You can decide at the end of the year. We have a 70% or 68% renewal rate for a second year. And that's recently, even while the market's been down. If we go Platinum, does that mean we won't make mistakes if we listen to the guidance? Well, it depends if you listen to the guidance or not, Duncan. We have people that will listen, don't act on the guidance, and then come back and complain afterwards that they didn't act. And now...
or did it later in a super risky way. It's like, oh, I heard you guys talk about this for 6 months, and now I've decided to do it in a really risky way. I was like, no, we don't suggest that.
100%. Yeah. So questions. I don't have time for this. We completely understand if you don't have time. That's the number one reason why we created Platinum. It's for successful professionals, executives who don't have 20 hours a week to research crypto, right? Many of our best clients are already stretched thin, all right? We're here to save you time, not help give you more content to consume. We do the heavy lifting, all right? And you cut through and get exactly what you need, actual strategies, personalized for you from experts. What if you lose money? Well, no one wants to lose money. That's exactly why, we're in markets or in crypto. But what we find is that crypto is volatile. It's inherently risky. You can't eliminate that risk, but with the right systems and execution and data, it can protect you from writing all of your portfolio down and making really poor decisions. All right. And that's part of the framework that we teach. That $15,000 is a lot of money. Yeah, it is a lot of money if your portfolio is not at the size that we work with, or, if you're not aware of what actually the growth can come from. If you have a $200,000 portfolio, $15,000 is 7.5% of your holdings. All right. One bad decision can cost $20,000, $40,000, $60,000, $80,000. All right. And over the course of 12 months, we see this. All right. It's an investment into ensuring that you can give the most potential for upside without the downside risk of doing on your own. So where you really go from before joining and after is you go from drowning in all the information, emotional decisions, no exit strategy, to that clear systematic framework, having the data-driven decisions, and have the community. All right. So if you are interested, you do need to apply. You can't buy it. You can't go and sign up online. We'll have a chat. The team will have a look. All right. And then we make a decision on whether or not it's a good fit. Now, let's do some questions. I know there's been a lot of questions, so keep firing them through, folks. Again, I'll make sure that that link is in the chat so you can go over and book that if you're interested. Does the cost include access to CPA? Yes. So we have, as a platinum client, you get a free 30-minute consultation with a crypto tax consultant. And that's where he'll go through and help answer and help you structure and give you what you need. We then have discounts on a bunch of different softwares as well that you can use for your tax. And then we also have bonus sessions where we bring in tax experts. So as an example, we had a bonus session just the other week with a tax expert, Adrian, who came on and did a full tax bonus session here, which we constantly bring on key experts.
Okay.
And Trav, what about, from like I guess the coaching side of things and the client success, like you work with the client success managers, like the support and accountability has been a big piece as well for people that are busy.
Yeah, 100%. One of the things that our members said on Thursday when we had the in-person event, we had 130 of our high net wealths in the room. And they said, oh, it's really reassuring and nice to connect with the people who I speak to so often. Beck and Sarn, who are our success managers, have constant communication. And it's not because we want to bother people, but members who prefer to speak to us and know what's going on and hear any updates directly, we do that as part of the service. And that high touch team-backed support is something that people are just finding unreal. They go, oh, you're not just Ben on his own in a basement pretending to have a team. There's a bunch of people behind it. Even the fact that our analysts do the responses in the chat is awesome.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, we got some questions. So I'll go back to the start to make sure everyone gets helped here. So the first one, my question: can you just buy crypto and set and forget and not just trade it? Yes, 100%. That's a big one that we speak about is, set and forget strategy most of the time actually outperforms versus those that try and out trade the market. It's very difficult to trade. You're coming up against algorithms, bots, AI, indicators that big institutions have, and that's very hard as a retail investor to compete with. So yeah, we have a strategy that you don't need to constantly trade. Yeah, to join the Platinum membership, you either need to have $100,000 in crypto right now, or you're looking to invest more than $100,000 over the next 12 months. That's to make sure we have a community of sophisticated investors. But if you're interested in the accelerator program, you don't need any money. You can start with zero. How to get access to the primary market. So that's exactly what we do inside our platform. So as an example, in here, we have so many different things that we help our clients with. But one of those is we have step-by-step resources where we actually go through and guide you through the process of getting access to decentralized exchanges and primary markets. So we have step-by-step instructions on how to get access to the decentralized exchanges, how to earn on DeFi projects, and then you get the support of our analysts through the weekly calls, the WhatsApp, the client success managers who are always here to help and guide you through the process whenever you get stuck. Funds not available till January. Talk now or then. Up to you, mate. You can book in a call now and chat, or you can wait. Completely up to you. You'll get a little bit more information out of the guys now if you're interested in learning a little bit more. Thomas, it's all in USD, so 100,000 USD. Do you think the time is coming where we can transfer crypto from personal SMSF without selling? Unfortunately, that is a tax question. And yeah, at the moment, that a lot of the rules dictate that whenever you move structure on your crypto, then it is a sale event, which sucks.
Yeah.
Theodore, I have $20,000 to put in the market. I would like help to possibly make $250,000. Is it possible? If it was possible, Theodore, I don't think anyone would be here. That's unfortunately, that's a bit more probably gambling than actually possible. I would say that is very, very, very unlikely. And most likely, if you were to try and do that, you'd lose your money because you're essentially going to try and find highly, highly speculative altcoins that will most likely go to zero. Can you help me fix our portfolio? We got hit hard on the crash. David, that's exactly what we do, man. So many of our case studies, when we work with clients, as an example, some of the people I just spoke about, we're down a lot of money in their portfolio before joining us. Joe was previously had sizable losses. He came with us. We had a one-on-one. We cleaned up his portfolio, repositioned it, and within 4 months he was in profit again. Another one was there's probably a few more that I have back there, but there's a lot of people that join us after realizing that it's very difficult to do this alone, and then we reposition the portfolio, get it right with the research, with the one-on-ones, and then get it ready for the next leg up. Is the accelerator program $1,999 a year investment? Yeah, so $199 USD is for the year. Now, what you get access to on that is, if I bring this back up. So the accelerator, not only do you get the 4 weeks of coaching, all right, you then get 12 months access to our research platform, all right, where you get all the shift lists, the monthly calls, Telegram, the reports. So you get that for 12 months. And after this period ends, the Black Friday, it'll go back to 5,000 USD. How often is the cohort run and open for the accelerator program? So we have 25 people in each cohort. And how often do we run them, Trav? Is it every fortnight? Is a new cohort?
Yeah, it's fortnightly. There's a new one. And we've got, I think, the next 2 or 3, a few spots left, but we've got the date sets on those.
Yeah, awesome. Welcome to those booking calls as well. John, looking forward to speaking to you soon from the US. Taki, welcome aboard, mate. We'll speak with you very soon. Gabriella as well. Great to see all the calls coming through. Keep sending in your questions, folks. We'll make sure we keep getting to all your answers here. How do we know when the crypto market will go up and stay up? That is all based on the data and research that our analysts provide. So that's exactly what we share, and we give you guidance on that. No one has a crystal ball within a minute perfection, but that's what markets are. You're investing based on data and probability. What would you say buy for set and forget investing? Absolute set and forget, Angela, would be Bitcoin only, in my opinion, because what we've seen, like we sold off a lot of positions of our altcoins a couple of weeks ago, and we've seen the altcoins really dive down. You still need to reposition your portfolio if you're holding altcoins. Altcoins don't go up forever. So I would say an absolute set and forget would be mainly Bitcoin. And then the altcoins are a multi-month position that you want to be able to update and change. Otherwise, it can drag your entire portfolio behind. More calls coming in. Welcome, Kit from Australia. Look forward to chatting. What other takeaways did you have, Travis, from the weekend?
Yeah, I think the digital detox is a big one. Taking out those sources of information that I think are problematic or misleading people. I think 2 is, getting away from, if you're in fear mode, turn off the fearful things, not because you want to avoid the pain if it's real, but so much of what people are saying is not actually what's playing out. They're seeing speculation on what might play out, and that fear is driving mania. The second bit, as I kind of highlighted earlier, is really reminding people that people will look back and they'll always go, hey, I wish I had bought in at that point, or I wish I had joined at that point. And they'll look back and go, idiot. Or they'll keep money till, they'll keep their investments for too long and they'll go, I wish I'd sold. But in that moment, they don't think that way. So right now people are going, now is not a good time to be in crypto. But we'll look back at whatever period in which the analysts tell us it's going to take that change, and then people are going to go, oh, I wish I had joined when I was on that webinar, whatever it is. I'm just seeing a lot of that. And on the other side, where we've had members who have joined earlier and now have gone through this patchy point in the market, they're going, man, I'm so glad I'm here. Like, if I wasn't here, what my plan would have put me in a really bad position.
Yeah, bang on. Tracy, I'm on the accelerator waitlist. When should I expect a call? Yeah, we've been inundated, Tracy. Honestly, we've up to 230 or 240 people on the wait list. To update
They're
your
working
phone
through
number,
that.
it doesn't allow the NZ number. So yeah, I'll pass it on to the team. I'll get them to touch base with you via email, Tracy. The other way to fast track would be you can just book a call on this page here, which you'll speak to David and Reese about the accelerator. You don't have to just talk about platinum through this call. We just didn't have enough capacity to speak to everyone on the wait list, so you can jump on a call with those guys and they'll be able to fast track you. Gabriella, can I start with the accelerator and move to platinum later? Yes, 100% you can. So you can join the accelerator and then you can decide later if you want to join platinum. That's exactly what it's about. You can kind of decide, get your toe in the water and then decide whether or not you want to go up or down. You just don't get the one-on-one support and the WhatsApp and whatnot, but it's a good like weekly call schedule to get you up and running. Lots of information to process. What does platinum give over accelerator? Yeah, so to be clear, am I sharing my screen here? Yeah. The platinum provides you one-on-one educational sessions, client success managers. You get to speak with me, our head of education. We go through your portfolio. You get a full onboarding process with one-on-ones with our team. The WhatsApp community where you get to see and message the team and I and meet the other members. You get the alerts from myself and the team on when we're buying, when we're selling. The in-person events. So we do 2 in-person events every single year where we do the full strategy day. You get the weekly live calls and then you get the monthly calls. None of that you get on Accelerator. You don't get any of that, to be 100% clear. What you get on Accelerator is a completely different 4-week coaching program, which is limited to 25 people purely in the Accelerator, where we go through the market, portfolio allocation and goal setting, investor operating system like the mindset and the goal setting, sell strategy, and then you have a graduation session with me. All right. Then you just get access to our research platform for 12 months. There's no one-on-ones. There's no access to me and the team outside of the monthly sessions. And there's no WhatsApp. There's nothing like that. It's more, the accelerator is good if you want to go and just try it out and do it on your own. The platinum is if you're really ready to take it serious and want us to come in and help you do it with you. That's the difference. Yeah, we've got so many people on the wait list. It's like we're not able to get through, considering again we keep them to 25 people per cohort. So if you want to essentially chat to the guys and try and jump the line, booking a call is the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps, Thomas. Steve, will the accelerator teach us how to get into the primary market? So yeah, you get access to the research platform here that I mentioned, but you have to figure out on your own. You don't get the support of the team, if that makes sense. So you still get the step-by-step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yes, it will. I'd say, to clarify, it will teach you. Yeah, but then
Yes.
you're on in the journey. You also get added to a group of alumni and people who past alumni as well, who can talk through like what they're doing and how they're working through those challenges. So you're not entirely on your own. You're just very much not getting that hand holding.
Yeah, bang on. You can also check out some of these, as I mentioned before, like these are, where are we? Like literally 6 days ago, 5 days ago, genuinely helped. Like there's so many client success stories you can check out here. You can also let's check out, what is the 1-star? Let's do the 1-star review. That's what I want to check out. The 1-star review, if I remember correctly, yeah, this guy actually loves what we does and we love our ideas and our plan, but thought he needed $100,000 to invest, which is not true. And he's also not a member. So he loved what we do, didn't listen, and then left us a 1-star review. So you make up your own mind on that. Keep your questions coming in. If we get the entry level, can we put it towards upgrading to platinum? Yes. So at the end of the 4 weeks, David, you have essentially a short period of time where you can decide once the program's done if you want to upgrade, and we'll take your credit and we'll discount it off the platinum. Otherwise, that period will end, and then you're just essentially in the pro for the rest of the year. So you can decide, and you have a window after the live session's finished to decide if you want to go up or down. Great to see all the calls coming in. If there's any more questions, please fire them across. Thomas, in platinum, does the 100K get allocated immediately, or it's completely up to you, Thomas. So we don't take your money, just to be clear. This is your capital. Yeah. The entry requirements is more about making sure we work with serious investors, not those that are just trading small amounts in the platinum. So you can decide, man, on what you invest in, and you ultimately decide what you want to do. We just help you guide based on our research where we think the best opportunities are. Hopefully that makes sense. And it can be over 12 months. You don't have to invest straight away. It's completely up to you. We work with you. Is the platinum program just for 12 months, and do you renew every year? So it's a 12-month program, and then you can decide whether or not you want to renew for a second year. So we do, in-person sessions, masterminds. We do the one-on-one sessions. That's constant, and we get you prepared for the bear market. That's the goal. And yeah, we get about 68% over the last month or two that renew for a second year, which in our space is pretty good considering the market. It's probably bleeding, to be honest. Awesome. Any final questions, folks? Please fire them in. Otherwise, again, to jump on, you just want to hit the book a call button, speak with the team. You can chat through the options. And again, it's not you have to decide on the call. We're going to get an understanding where you're at, your goals, your challenges, and then decide what's best for you. And then you can decide, which path you want to take. Do you advise on broker and online security? Yes, 100%. So in the platform, we have a full security center where you get, step by step to make sure that you're not getting scammed. We then have a full area where we do introductions on the best brokers, the best exchanges based on what you need. So we'll actually do a personal introduction from your client success manager with certain exchanges and platforms to make sure you're getting the best rates and the best fees. Chris, I've talked about XRP being hyped up by social media, is saying it's going to 10,000. Is it possible XRP is a scam created by owners to police? I wouldn't say XRP is a scam. I definitely don't think it's a scam. It's just it's got a very strong cult-like following that like to really get people excited about very vague potential that really mathematically is not in any shape logical that it could go that high. How much expertise do you have with the on-chain data? Checkmate stuff. That is a big part of what we do, Lawrence. So Checkmate does content analysis for our clients, 2 or 3 updates a week. So you get to see exactly what we're doing, even our portfolio updates. So you see here, this is when I made and trimmed my portfolio. I sold some altcoins and we were bang on about that, even the outperformance of those altcoins. All right. We share all those updates and all the on-chain analysis here in the platform. And then also we give the most important stuff to you in the WhatsApp for the platinum clients. I traded on Coinbase and CoinSpot depending on where I can buy. What am I chasing? And then store on Ledger Live. Is this a good idea? Yes, that's a good idea. Keep it on Ledger Live. I agree. That's best place to store. Yep. So you can submit coins. So what you do, David, is you put your portfolio on the dashboard, and then when you have a one-on-one session, that's where we go through your portfolio, and you get to have that analyzed, and we go through those altcoins. You can also then look at the shift list and look at the altcoin ratings if we've covered off your altcoin, or you can jump on one of our weekly sessions, or you can also just message us in the WhatsApp and tag our analysts, and then we give you our insights on what's going on. Can you short crypto? If yes, is this something you can short crypto? It's definitely not something I recommend. I've seen way too many lose a lot of money trying to short crypto. Far too volatile unless you're an absolute expert. Lada, hi Ben, do you not recommend holding ETH long term? No, I love Ethereum. I recommend holding Ethereum for sure. I still hold Ethereum. Been buying since $80. Cool. Okay, well, it's great to see all the calls coming in. If you are interested again, jump over to the link we've put in the chat, book in a call. You've also got the Pro Accelerator there. You can check that out. Book in a chat with the team if you're interested. Good to see all the calls coming in. We've got Steve. Welcome, Steve. Kit, John, Taki, Gabriella. And we've had lots of calls over the weekend, which is fantastic. The guys are going to be very busy. Awesome. Do you have any final words for anyone listening? Otherwise, again, that was another good session.
No, I think for me, it's just again a reminder that if you got to find your source of information. So whether it's Collective Shift or another reputable source of information, find somewhere. Don't just chase social media hype. Don't just chase what you're seeing on YouTube. Otherwise, you're just going to continue the pain.
Yeah, bang on. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. Fantastic. Thank you, Vlada. Thank you, Trina, Mary, David, and everyone booking calls. Great to chat. And we'll see you all very soon. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone.